Welcome back, everybody. This is the Natives in America podcast. This is your host, Benjamin Juan, and with me, as always, is Sky Anto.
Hey, what's up? How we doing today?
Oh, he showed up today. There he is. We're pushing the limit. It's like 11. It's damn near midnight Thursday night, and we got to release on Friday morning. So I'm kind of screwing this up, but that's okay. As long as we're going to get that thing out. Tonight, people, we're going to be talking about mental health. And maybe mental illness. Like Sky brought this article to me. I suggested we talk about mental health today, and Sky brought an article to me. As a good sidekick that he is, as a good, maybe not a sidekick, maybe more like a partner, my partner in crime here. I told him, hey, let's talk about mental health, and he's like, hey, let me get us an article, and I was like, fuck yeah, bro, do that. And he's a magic man. He brought this thing to me, so we're not going to go fully hardcore on this article, but it's a good start. And so I'm going to mention it. We're going to go to that, but like overall, we're talking mental health because I've been talking about it and thinking about it, and it keeps rearing its ugly head on the podcast. It affects us all. We're all dealing with something. Whether it's the loss of our people here from the pandemic. We're losing people that shouldn't be lost. They're going before their time, and we're all having to deal with that. And at the same time, there's been issues before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic came around, we're kind of being pushed apart and pulled apart from each other and told, oh, don't socialize. And now we're kind of seeing the repercussions on our mental health and in our general, let's call it quality of life. I think it's in decline. So, and it just keeps coming up on the podcast. We keep kind of dancing. I don't want to say we're dancing around it, but it comes up and we mention it and then we move on. And I think it's about time we kind of go directly to the source here and start talking about it. So, Sky, how's your mental health these days? How are you doing?
My mental health, I think it is average. I mean, I think there are people that I can talk about. I mean, not talk about, but I can talk with. Besides this podcast, because I think this is a part of, why my mental health is a little better. It's like,
Christine.
I mean, it is the social interaction and just the project and creating something. So I have that going. So, but like, I was gonna say, but there are people that are like I can relate with, and they can relate with me. Yeah, and it's sort of like, man, this is happening, even though I can have that same conversation with, a family member, and maybe not so much talking about the heavy stuff, but just, the lightheartedness or the stuff more about our individual self. Yeah. So I think I keep myself busy to where my mental health is in pretty decent shape just by naturally being in where I'm at. Yeah. But I've been working in the behavioral health field for like over 3 years, pretty much. Yeah. And it was like really no exposure, or I didn't even go to school for that type of work, but just kind of jumping in, I've learned a lot, but and learning about it, I've also sort of like this, you know, it gets dark.
Yeah.
You know, in life. Yeah. So, I was surprised you brought it up, but I think there's just, it's not a touchy, yeah, it is touchy, but it's just like, there are some things that, everybody's mental health is different. I think that's the crazy thing, and that word too, the terminology. Yeah. That's one word I try not to say. But crazy.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, it's just it's just not a good word.
Why do you say that? Why do you think it's not a good word?
Because like it's dismissive of something.
Okay. Yeah.
Like you could say something and I could just say, "Oh, you're crazy." And
nice.
Whatever somebody's going through, you know, and it could be offensive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, someone could take it not the wrong way, but like, I don't know. I guess it's like not a light-hearted word to use, you know. So, but I always say it, and I don't mean to say it because it's just like cool or.
Yeah.
But in certain settings, I'm like, oh no, I don't mean it like that. So I think that was one of the key points in that article I sent you was like, you know, sometimes the terminology and maybe why I was hesitant to talk about mental health is like, you know, like trying to say it appropriately so you don't offend. Which is sometimes that just happens, but
yeah, I was gonna say I think we run the risk of offending people with every episode. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
And if somebody's out there struggling with mental health, you know, they're kind of open to that as well, right? Like kind of able to be hurt a little bit more. Or easily than somebody who's doing just fine.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason I brought up mental health, the reason I'm like, oh, let's talk about it. Like you asked, I think the day before yesterday or something. Like we had to kind of push this thing because I was stuck up in town without my equipment, and so now, you know, we're waiting to the last minute here to get this thing in, and I was thinking, like, you asked, you know, you got a subject, and I'm like, well, I just said, oh, we'll play it by ear. You said something like that, and then we got here, and I think it was last night or this morning maybe that I said, hey, let's talk about mental health. And the reason for that is, like I said, it keeps coming up. It keeps rearing its ugly head into our conversations, and it seems to pertain to everything we talk about. It comes up, and it plays a role in everyday life. And I kind of feel like so I'm gonna bring up a couple people like Sissy. That was in her episode, she brought up Holocaust, and she was using it in reference to the distribution of justice in our justice system, and she was relating the development of a bad entity, like I don't know what you would call Holocaust. Like she's I think in the story she kind of comes off as like a witch or like this evil, like I don't know, monster, I guess you'd say. And then I was like, I don't know where the hell she's going with this. And then she kind of turned it around and said, well, she was just a normal person in the beginning, but enough people mistreated her, you know, treated her bad, did her wrong, talked about her, made her become this thing, this monster, this evil entity. You know, she was just like us, just normal, you know, everyday person, which I think we all, you know, on a daily basis struggle to maintain this like balance of being okay. And the way Sissy described it was, well, this person was turned into this darker entity, this witch, this monster, because she wasn't treated right. You know, she was fine until she was mistreated, and then as a reaction to, or maybe as a result of the treatment, she became this darker person, you know, this evil, I'm just going to keep saying entity, this monster, and became something different, something to be legendary, you know, something that we'll still talk about in Legends. And then I think in Juan's episode, he was bringing up doom and gloom, is what he said. He said on a daily basis he works with a lot of complaints and people struggling with their needs, and he has to work to meet their needs. And he said he was saying that it was very easy to start believing that his job is all doom and gloom, because that's all he faces every day, is the sadder, darker side of society. You know, like, oh, these people are struggling and they need help, and that's what he sees every day, is the struggle. You know, he's working with them and dealing with that. And he says after a while it's easy to start thinking that everything is doom and gloom, you know. And I kind of liked that expression, because it kind of paints a picture of darkness in my mind, like cloudy living, like living under a cloud and being rained on, and just no sight of some exit out, you know. Yeah. And also, you know, I've been struggling with my own mental health. You know, it's like trying to find my place in the world. I think a lot of us, like, who went to school, beyond school, you know, we were thinking, oh, it's just going to be easy. It's going to be like high school, or it's going to be like this, and then you go in, and I think Sissy said it, I think you've said it, I think I've said it, and maybe even a couple of other people on the podcast, where they were saying, you know, you go in and then you get this like culture shock, and the next thing you know, you're flunking out, you know, you're falling apart, and you're not doing what you were thinking you were going to do when you first showed up. And I think it's all tied into mental health. I think I think any one of us as people are capable of going to that darker side, are capable of losing our grip on, let's say, I don't really want to say normalness, but let's say a level. You know, like we're always trying to maintain this equilibrium. Let's call it that, an equilibrium, where you know you're not some super happy person, but at least you're not crying, kind of thing. You know, like you're leveled off. You're able to take your day and your life in your hands, and you know, show up to work every day, or wake up every morning, or you know, whenever you wake up. The time of day doesn't really matter, but it's like you keep showing up, you keep fighting, you keep doing what you can. And I think any one of us are capable of losing that grip, losing that equilibrium, and I think mental health plays a huge role in that. I want to say, like, it's a balancing beam, you know. We're constantly going, you know, up or down on it, and it's like a sliding scale, and it's like, as long as you, like you said, you got people you can relate to and talk to, and some people don't have that. So, like, say you start having a shitty day, you can talk to somebody, and that'll maybe level you off and bring you back to your center. But some people don't have that, and they just keep going down, going into that dark area. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. It's like we're the sliding scale, the balancing act of dealing with your everyday problems, or your everyday, you know, pluses and minuses, and hoping to come out on top at the end. At the end of the day, you'd rather have a smile on your face than, you know, black bags under your eyes and just, you know, doom and gloom, you know. So what do you think about that? Where are you at on this? Like, you got a clear picture of what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm more trying to be set on how it's going to affect in the future more.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like socializing and being almost out of the loop.
Yeah.
And trying to return back to what we thought was normal.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's not the same normal.
Yeah. Things
have changed, and I just wonder how it's going to affect, the youngins, that are just sort of, just kind of just going along with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I really don't know. Like the whole idea of education, and like I was like hearing teachers talk about like their expectation of the students now is it's a different list now.
Yeah.
And like I guess I think the biggest reason why I finally did started to succeed in college was because I started to actually go see the instructors and actually go make that face-to-face contact.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was actually my key X factor to passing the class overall, was saying I go to office hours and hearing like the teachers talk now, it's like they're expecting that level of like going out to go seek the teacher through whatever email, text message, we're all on our phones now, and we're just like doing our work, and we're at home working from home, so it's just everything's all conjumbled, and then we try to go back to school, and everything's still weird. So I don't know, it's just like an idea of thinking we're going to go back to being normal, and it's never going to be normal.
Yeah.
And, how does that affect somebody overall?
Well, let's explore that, because I don't think either of us have even said pandemic straight out yet, but it's like this is a huge factor in why I'm talking about mental health today is the pandemic. And this whole notion of going back to normal, like that's kind of what we're also talking about with mental health, is like, there's this normal, there's this, I'm going to call it equilibrium, because I don't quite like the expression normal, you know what I mean? You mentioned crazy, the word crazy, that's kind of like dismissive. I think normal is right up there with it, like, you're not normal, you're not like the rest of us. It's kind of like if you're not this, then you're not like us, kind of thing, And I think normal's kind of, as far as mental health goes, is kind of a bullshit, derogatory expression. But I think you're hitting it on the head when you bring up normal, or going back to normal, because it just seems like a pipe dream now. Like everybody talks about it, like, as soon as we get back to normal, and what we're damn near going on year 3 now.
It's kind of like planning for a vacation.
Yeah.
Like when this is all done with, or it's like this imaginary time of like, I don't know. It's like when we talk about the 90s, or like the 90s era, there's the music. So it's just kind of like with this normal that before the whole virus stuff, it was just like like, I don't know, it's just what, not so much why was that moment more important than it is now. So it's like we're still alive, we still have a lot of other things to do, but we're still focused on what we thought we wanted to do during this time.
Yeah.
And that time is over. There's other stuff happening.
Yeah.
And we're fixated on returning to something that probably is never going to be. Hate to say it like that, but just like the reality of how like I guess the way things look, it doesn't really look like normal is normal, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I always look at watching old movies now prior to the pandemic, where it's just like people are all up in each other's 6 feet, 6 feet apart. You know, that's
yeah.
Well, you know, I see that sign everywhere now. 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because like whenever there's like a end of the world movie, you know, there's like leftover shit from the right before it happened. And there's usually signs all over the place. And now, like, three years in, like, I think we're all kind of fed up with it. Like, no socializing, social distancing. Like, everywhere you go, there's, like, old markings where the tape on the floor is to keep us so many feet apart, you know? Like, it's like remnants, you know, and you see it everywhere. It's everywhere, like you said, 6 feet apart, social distancing, wear your mask. And at this point, like, I've been going to the bars and stuff, like on 4th, like lately, and nobody's wearing a mask, man. Nobody's wearing a mask. And it's like I don't know if it's like, oh, they're either sick of it or they just don't believe in it, but it's like this shit's not over. You know, every day people are still dying, but it's like people are over it. We just want to get back to normal, you know? And what's crazy is like it's at this point I'm starting to believe there's never going to be the turn back point. You know? And that's a scary thought, like to think, oh, it's like I think the first year and maybe even the second year was like, oh, well, I can do this for now because sooner or later we're going to go back to normal. You know, I can do this for a while. It's okay. I can put up with this. I can handle it because eventually we're going to go back and we'll be okay. You know, that was the thinking. I don't really feel that way anymore. You know, it's like, all right, well, this is where we are now. This is what it is. This is the reality. And we're just in it. And we're still going forward. You know, things are still moving forward, but we're caught up in this global pandemic, you know? And you know, if we were struggling before with our mental health, if we were struggling to see our friends or handle everyday problems, this pandemic has thrown a complete wrench in it all. It's like now you got to be far away from your elders, you know, like we're pretty heavy in elderly care and love, and now like we have a great grandma, I think she's a great grandma, up in the elderly home, and we were trying to see her, and her mental health has completely declined. You know, from when we saw her before to now, where they're keeping them away from everybody because it's like, you know, they're a vulnerable population. So, like, anytime anybody gets sick, and it keeps happening, like, their nurses get sick up at Archie Hendricks, and somebody gets sick, and they just shut the whole thing down, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, you can't see them, you know? My dad, he was in the hospital for a while, and it was like, oh, well, one person can go in and see him, and then the rest of us, we're going to stand outside. And I remember that was a freaky thought. Like, they're like, oh, we'll walk down this little alleyway here and look at them in the window. And it was like going to see the animals at the zoo, you know? You can only look at them for so long. Like, I would wave and smile and look at my dad, and he's in the hospital, and it's like, you can only do that for so long. Like, I can't go in there, I can't hug him, I can't speak to him, I can't hear his voice. And that alone is pretty damn tough, especially for somebody who's in the hospital and they have to, you know, pull through and get better. I think that's a huge thing when it comes to mental health, is like, like health is in there, and I don't think people give it credit. You know, the credit it's owed is mental health. Like, it plays this huge role in our ability to heal, our well-being. It hangs in the balance with our mental health. It like goes hand in hand. If you're feeling down, and like think about people who live in Seattle and it's raining all the time and it's dark. Now those people, they're probably not like, oh, I'm a dark person, or oh, I'm this sad ass person. But if you're there for too long, if you see that every day, the rain and the clouds, and it's dark and it's cold, and like you're in that environment for so long, like after a while you start getting kind of down, start getting sick. Like it plays a huge role in your ability to be well, I guess. I don't know if that's a good way to express it, but I'm saying, like, I don't think we give credit to our mental health, like how big a role it plays in our life and our ability to live well.
Maybe we don't acknowledge it out in the open as much.
Yeah.
But I think having those skills, or those taking part in those extra things that, you know, kind of keep you busy, because I think that's what it really is. It's like, you know, somebody that can stay busy, you know, is able to communicate, can make friends, or keep friends, you know, like, you know, you kind of, it's like all part of it. All those skills are kind of important. So, like, I mean, I just think some skills kind of keep your mental health just kind of, like I said, in a good shape, and I guess in a decent shape.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe we don't talk about it a lot, or maybe we don't acknowledge, like, oh man, my mental health is keeping me going. You know, we don't really say stuff like that because, I don't know, maybe we don't, because it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of hard to measure my mental health versus your mental health. Everybody is a different map for everybody on how, you know, how they feel or how they manage, you know, what they, I guess, go through. I don't know. It's just, I think that there's a lot of like, sometimes, like, we can't, like the phrase, like, you know, you can't really say something about somebody until you walk in their shoes. Like, like, you can't, like, some of those things are like we only can know and experience what we know. And I guess trying to relate to somebody else is pretty impossible. Yeah. So, but again, having the ability to communicate and talk and articulate what's going on in your head, because I think a lot of it too is our brain. Maybe that's something you gotta kind of point out, is how our brain works and how our brain operates and feels, and we have to say stuff to express those things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you struggle with that, or if you don't let that out, it might suppress things, or it might. I guess the brain. I guess what's stimulating the brain, and is it a good stimulation to where it's doing something positive, or I don't know. It's just it's so because I think of the brain, but then I also think of like the heart. Like I always kind of still tie them together.
Yeah,
because it's like your personality or who you are. Like that's also kind of a part of your mental health.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess, like, I noticed, like I started painting more in the past, like, during the pandemic. Like, I started getting more excited about painting.
Yeah.
But that's only because I think I had the time to sit down and actually, hey, I have this time to paint.
Yeah.
So with the pandemic, it was weird because it was, not to say I'm cabin fever or stir crazy now, but like I think that's what happened to a lot of people, or is happening, where I'm just maybe I'm just fed up with it and I'm done with it, or I've been inside too long. I need to get out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. One thing that always sticks out in my mind is, and I always say it, is when I went to this conference.
Uh-huh.
And the lady said it was, never underestimate the power of impulsivity. And she was talking about, like, suicide.
Really?
Just like people, actually committing suicide, and how fast that can happen, and impulsive. And so, like, then I guess sort of like, like maybe when someone does that or commits, and then we think, oh, that doesn't seem like them, or that doesn't sound like something they would do. There's like, again, there's like that. Like, you don't really know what they were going through, or you don't really know that other side. What I'm trying to say is, like, well, we don't know because it's almost an internal thing that we all have within ourselves. So that's a great point.
Like on that point, I want to bring up Robin Williams and Anthony Bourdain. I wouldn't think either of those, outside looking in, I wouldn't think either of them would have reason to do that, to end their lives. It was like Anthony Bourdain's this like world-renowned, world-traveling, drinking and eating with the best of every place, everywhere he goes, he has people that are there and want him there, And like that expression, the sad clown, like Robin Williams is out there bringing joy to millions, making people laugh instantly.
Yeah.
And then on the inside, he's struggling with his mental health to the point where he decided to take his own life. And you don't see that coming. It's like, man, what? And at the same time, it's like, all right, if that person who seems to have it made can reach that low, you know, what about us in general, people, the little guys? You know, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to deal with life in general? Like, how are we supposed to carry on? So yeah, that's an interesting point. I had gotten what I want to say was diversion classes, and it wasn't completely. I want to say I got them right at the beginning of the pandemic. All right, and what it was online courses about addiction. Almost the whole thing was about addiction. I think it was the point of it was to make me kind of pause and think about what I was doing with my life and what led me to be where I was, be in trouble with the law. And man, I was thinking, like, all right, I was trying to think about it the other day, how many hours it was of re-education or whatever they called it. It was hours and hours. I want to say at least 32 hours was one part of it, but I think in total it was like 128 hours of classes. And I remember going into it, I had a completely different ideology. I was like, well, I'm gonna knock this thing out. It's like, all right, this is easy. This is going to be easy. This is, it's not really all that important. It's just something I have to do, and I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to go online. I'm going to do these courses, and, by the end of the week, it's going to be over. I'm going to knock it out, get it back to the judge, and just be through it. Like, I just got to get through this. And to my surprise, what I found was some of it actually pertained to me. Some of it actually hit home. Some of it actually made me, pause and think, like, what am I doing? Like, what was crazy was it covered, like, all drugs. All drugs. It was like alcohol, it was meth, it was cocaine, it was heroin, it was pills, like barbiturates. It was all these things. And I kept going in the beginning, like it started off, I think it was on meth, and I was like, this has nothing to do with me. Like, I kept thinking, like, why the hell, like, I'm here, I'm in this situation for alcohol. Why the hell am I dealing with, why am I dealing with meth? Why am I listening to these people? They're the crazy ones. Like, oh, these guys are, like you said, that's dismissive. But it was like, I was dismissing the whole thing. It was like, man, this does not pertain to me. But as it kept going on, what I was starting to realize, it was about addiction and mental health. It was about people who reach a point with their mental health that they go so low that they want to start to escape, or they're unable to manage their mental health, so they start drinking, or they start doing whatever drug helped them escape, or at least feel better for a short while. There was a lot of talk about the effects of all these drugs on our brain, and how it's like a forced release of chemicals. And these chemicals, normally, when you release them on your own, they're like, let's say, I want to say serotonin. That's like a pleasure. It's like a pleasure hormone for the brain. Like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna say, when you come. All right, now nobody's gonna want to hear that, but I'm saying when somebody. Anyway, so say you have you have an incredible experience, like you had a good time. Something makes you laugh really hard. Moving on. Somebody makes you laugh really hard. There's a huge release of serotonin in your brain, and it stimulates, like, the pleasure centers of your brain, right? So, say you're in poor mental health, say you're not having a good time, a lot of people are drinking or doing their drugs to get a fake release of serotonin, because they want that. Everybody wants to be happy. Nobody goes out and goes, I want to feel like shit today. You don't do that by choice. But sometimes you got a misbalance in your chemicals because of how you feel, or maybe experiences. Say you get fired, you know, you get fired from your job, or you're not doing so well at your job, and your boss comes along and gives you crap about it. You know, like, hey, you're not doing this right. You're not doing well. We might fire you. That can push somebody's mental health down into the low points, and next thing you know, they're drinking heavy. You know, or say they drink already, but now they're drinking heavier. Like there's this reaction where it's like, I just want to feel better, and sometimes people, we'll drink or do drugs to release that serotonin to try to get that high back, that feeling. And another funny thing about the education I was doing, it was like there was this really great video, and it was like maybe 10 minutes long, and it was like it was a cartoon about like this little person, this little being, and it was about addiction, and it was like they were walking along. It was like it just showed this character. He's walking like left to right. He's just walking, and then he sees this little ball on the ground, and it's like in my mind it was a ball of alcohol. And he walks up and he looks at it and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And then he just keeps walking, and then he's walking, and then he sees the ball again, and he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna try it." So he goes down and he drinks it. And this drink, it makes him fly. Like he flies up, he's floating, and he's like smiling, he feels real happy, and he's flying through the sky. And then after a little while, he comes back down, and his feet touch the ground, and he's like, "Oh wow, that was cool." And then he just starts walking again. And then he comes along, and there's another little ball of alcohol, and he goes, "Oh, well, that felt great the last time. I'm going to do it again." So he runs to it now. And he drinks up this little ball of alcohol, and he flies again, he floats, and he's like feeling really good, and he's smiling, and he's floating, but this time it doesn't last as long, and he comes back down and hits the ground, and he's like, "Oh, cool, very cool, that was good." So he keeps walking, and he comes along, and he gets it again, and this time, maybe he still feels good, but he doesn't float, he doesn't fly this time, he just kind of like, or maybe he does, but it's a lot short-lived. It's a lot shorter, and he hits the ground faster. And then it just keeps going like that. He's progressing, and he always keeps hitting this ball of alcohol, and he keeps taking it. But every time he does it, there's less and less of a reaction. Mm-hmm. And the only reason he's really taking it is because of what he felt that first time. That first fleeting joy and like floating and flying through the air and feeling good. And every time after that, he's just like, I want more of it. And then what happens is, towards the end of the video, he's fatter, chubbier, walking slower, having a lot harder time. And this time, it comes to that thing, and he's like, "Fuck, I don't even know if I want that anymore." Like, it was a very simple cartoon. I'll probably send it to you, but it painted a picture for me. It made me realize, like, wow, like that we're all kind of chasing that first huge release, that first fantastic feeling, the first time we did it right. Like, I remember when I was first drinking, like, I was enjoying myself, I was having a hell of a time, like, I think I was rolling around on the ground because it felt so funny, like, it just felt good. I was rolling and spinning, and I was like having a good old time, and then I think I wound up like drinking too much, and I threw up. But it was like the next time it came around, I wanted to do it again, I was looking forward to it. And, I think since then I've been chasing that. You're always hoping to have a good time, hoping to have that release of serotonin that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And I like, that's kind of mental health in general, man. Like, we're hoping to feel good on an everyday basis, and it just depends on how things are going, how you're handling your life, how you're dealing with everyday activities. And I feel like with this whole pandemic, like, we've been kind of beaten down. beaten down with information and beaten down with fear and pain and loss. And, that's kind of why I want to talk about it. It's like, first of all, if we don't talk about it, we're kind of in this dark place. We're in this place where it doesn't get acknowledged, Yeah. I think half the battle is acknowledging where you're at and being able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've taken the mic for too long. Do you have something to add here?
I mean, you got me thinking on a lot of different.
Yeah, it was a lot of information.
I mean, I guess it's sort of everything that's happening. Maybe turning to your substance of use when things get tough, or when you deal with, sometimes it does feel good to, have a cold one after a rough day, there's a balance to all of that.
Yeah.
And I think with everything going on, but even before then, especially people passing away or losing somebody that you're close with, and you might feel like drinking is, I don't know, the only thing that's gonna kind of make it somewhat better. And I don't know, just sometimes I think it gets blurred with an appropriate, I don't want to say an appropriate time and an inappropriate time, but there's a time when mentally maybe it's not the best time to be adding in another. It's almost like a science project, or like your brain is already has all this other stuff going on, and then you throw in something else to kind of see what happens. Yeah, I get that's the strange thing about what you were describing with the cartoon. It's just sort of, let's repeat the cycle. Maybe not something else will happen, but maybe unconsciously it's I'll feel the same pleasure I felt the first time. The first go around. Oh man, it almost reminds me of the mouse, getting the cheese for the first time. After that one cheese, it was on.
I want it again.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you brought that up. That's another. It's another key factor in mental health, like moving the cheese. If you guys, if you guys haven't heard that one, go back and check it out. I think it was season 1 that we brought that up, maybe season 2. But anyway, I'll talk about it. Moving the cheese was about these lab rats that were, they were given this maze and they went through it, and they're, in the beginning they were very super happy to run and get this piece of cheese, and then, they'd run the experiment again and the mice would get it even faster, and they'd I know where it is, I know what I want, it tastes good, I want it again. And they run through the maze and they find it, and they find it faster and faster, and then after a while if they run the experiment too many times, or if the experiment doesn't change, like the maze, after a while they just stop losing interest. They start losing interest in the cheese. They're like, well, screw that cheese. I don't want it. Like, I'm not as interested in it as I once was. You know? So the scientists realized they had to move the cheese. You know, they had to move the cheese in order to keep the animals interested in even doing the experiment, you know, like even wanting to go find it, because they had to keep things interesting. You just reminded me of this. There was this other experiment. It was doctors working with mice, and I think it was like cocaine. It was they either had electrodes in the brain where they were stimulating like their sex response, so a serotonin release basically, and there was a mouse, and it had the ability to. Let's see here. I think it might have been alcohol or cocaine, and if this mouse pressed this button, it would give them a little bit of a dose. So like these mice, they were doing it so much. Like they kept doing it. They kept doing the alcohol. I think it was cocaine or something like that. But they kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And some of them would keep doing it to the point that they would die. Like they had a choice between food and cocaine, and after a while they stopped eating and they just started going for the cocaine. And after a while they just kept doing that until they died. Like it got so bad. And then And to the doctors, they were like, or the scientists, they were like, oh, well, this shows that this is addicting. This shows that this is what we expected. Like this is kind of what happens to people. Some mice like the dose, some don't, and some do it like it so much they'll do it until they die, right? Well, at some point, one of the scientists said, well, I don't know if they were just an out-of-the-box thinker, but they're like, well, let's change the environment. You know, same mouse, but what they wound up doing was they gave the mouse like a running wheel and maybe like a little pool of water to play in, and they gave it like other buddies, like they put other mice with it. And what they realized was once this animal started being able to interact with other mice, and once it started, it could exercise, it could entertain itself. Once it had that, the draw to the drug kind of went away. It was like a lot fewer of them would die from overdosing on the cocaine. They were happier. They were able to interact. They were, what they realized was this mouse was in a self-contained, basically prison. Just in this box, and a cell. And instead of wanting to eat and survive, it would rather escape. It would rather get high and feel better that way versus how it felt in this cell, completely blocked off and unattached to the world around them. I always found that super interesting. Just by changing the environment that the mouse was in, it changed how the mouse felt about it. Maybe, about itself, and they were less likely to become addicted to cocaine or whatever it was they were experimenting with. And, that kind of stuff actually pertains to us too. Like if we find ourselves blocked off from society, where we can't interact, we can't laugh, we can't get outside, which is kind of what this pandemic has done to us. It's like, oh, stay inside, What do they call it? When you get exposed, they say quarantine. Stay in-house. Don't go anywhere. You quarantine yourself.
Yeah.
And, we're not built that way. We're interactive animals. We like to go out and see people. We like to hug, and touch. We like to be touched. And like I kind of think about prenatal babies. They're the newborns. Some of them will struggle to live until somebody takes the time to hold them, and touch them. You know, some of them, well, if you don't interact with them, you just leave them in the little box, you know, I want to call it an incubator. The baby can struggle and possibly die and, you know, never heal. But if somebody's in there interacting with them and talking with them and touching them, you know, maybe even putting them in with another baby, they suddenly start to heal. They suddenly start to do better. And it's because of that thing that we need, that interaction, social interaction, or just to be touched.
Yeah.
And, you know...
Well, as to know you exist. Well, I think that's another crazy part about life is it is lonely, and it is dark, and it is, like, very, like, doom and gloom. It's kind of what life is. And, I mean, you could break it down, just say that, but I think mental health is sort of like exploring all these other options and resources that kind of keeps you in kind of like good spirits. And like being able to socialize or having those friends or those people in your life that like either challenge you or make you laugh or even kind of like even get you angry, but yet it's a anger that you turn into another kind of energy, like competition, you know, friendly competition, even a little bit of like, I don't want to say beef or bullying, but just like, I think that's like they're learning as well who you're interacting with. So like the exchange of energy with other people kind of just, because I've seen that where like an empty park, like an empty basketball court where there's nobody, it's empty, and then suddenly all these people come. And they're filling the courts and they're running games and people are talking on the side and people bring music and it's just suddenly the whole energy changed because people are bringing life to that space. Then they leave and it's like it's nothing. It's just space.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So we're kind of like suppressing ourselves by not being able to be so, I guess, I don't want to say carefree, but just more, like you say, you want to be touched, like in an appropriate way. But I think it's still not jumping through hoops, but figuring out, you know, where you want to, you know, actually spend your time. I think that's when we talk about the normal, there's this sense of like there's more time. Yeah. And now with how everything is, that doesn't seem like that. Yeah. So it's almost like I think it's a good thing you brought this up, because it's like I think now it's more I need to make time. Yeah. Or at least I need to make time to understand if I'm actually touching on that. A lot of it too is just like getting back at it. Like I think me with the guitar, like I forgot that I actually like playing. I mean, I like to play, but like sometimes I don't play it as much. And over the past couple of weeks, I've been, you know, back at strumming and like a part of like at least 30 minutes, you know, just holding it and playing it, because I feel good when I do that. Yeah. But like I put it down for a while. I wasn't thinking about playing or wanting to play it. Yeah. So maybe I think that's another issue too. It's like sometimes we don't realize what we have that keeps us well. Or maybe we have something that keeps us well, but we don't really bring it out as much because we got bored with it, or I don't know. It's like our attention too.
Yeah, definitely.
We have so many interests, and we maybe lose sight of the ones that were important to our health.
Yeah.
Or maybe we have stuff that we're into that's maybe not good for our health. I don't know. I was almost thinking about, man, we should like do they call it an assessment, like where they ask you questions about like your mental health, and you kind of see where you're at. Or,
yeah.
I don't know if we wanted to dig that deep.
I don't know if I want to, pull that scab off there. I'm not sure I want to open that can of worms. Recently, I went off the deep end, like, pretty hard, and it was because, like, I think I brought this up already, but it was like, for a brief, I think it was just the beginning of this year, it was like every other day somebody was dying, somebody in our family, like, it just kept happening. It was like, at some point, I stopped. Like, in a normal time, when somebody dies, you grieve. You go, you participate, you help put them in the ground, and then you grieve. And you get to deal with it. Like, grieving's kind of like your process of dealing with this pain that you have. And, like, at some point, man, so many people were dying. Like, it was like every week we got a poster saying so-and-so died. Like, our elders. And elders, young people, like, my age, maybe younger, and it was like people were dying left and right. And it got to the point where I was no longer able to grieve. It was just like, oh, another person's dead. And I started getting numb. It was like I started losing my ability to deal with it. It was like, man, it became overwhelming. And I think, that's kind of like the lead up to any kind of, going over the deep end in your mental health is not being able to deal. And, like, I think when it finally came to a head, it was like my uncle passed. And he was one of my favorite uncles, but also he was like the last uncle on my dad's side. My dad became like the last male in his family. And it was like, man, I went to help dig the grave and do all that, but then, like, when it actually came down to go see him and do the funeral, I went to see him, but, like, I just started partying. I partied for, like, almost a week straight, where I just went off the deep end. Like, I almost missed our episode. I think we still got it out, but, like, it was, like, to the wire, to the very end of the wire that we got it in. And it was like I had to pull myself back in to even do it. It was like, man, I had to, come back from the edge. But there was like a good week where I had stopped grieving and just kind of let loose. Like, I just went off the deep end. I started drinking really heavily. I started, like, just going, I started doing things that normally, with a good mental bill of health, I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid, or that's crazy. And then I just started doing it. I stopped caring about the consequences. It was like, I wasn't, I stopped being able to grieve for every person that passed. It was just like, oh, another one's gone. Oh, somebody else has died. Oh, now it's my uncle. Like, oh. And after a while, man, I became numb. And I think might have even been this podcast that brought me back. It was like I went off the deep end, and it was because I wasn't able to have my normal process of dealing with death. it was just like all of a sudden death was around every corner, and we were being saturated in it, and I lost my ability to deal with it. I just stopped dealing with it, and I just started drinking, and like I'll do some heavy drinking every now and then, but man, like it just didn't end. I just kept getting more and kept going, and it was like I didn't care. I was like, devil may care. I'm gonna do this, and damn near lost myself. It was like it was no longer about feeling good or getting back to normal. It was more about escaping, like just getting away, losing myself in the booze. It was like scary almost to look. It's scary to look back on, but right in the middle of it, it just felt right. Yeah. And another thing that came out of that was like my family started getting upset with me, and that just added to it. It was like I don't need judgment right now. I don't need to be treated like an outsider right now. If anything, I need to be brought back into the fold, And like that's a huge thing. If you don't have those types of outlets, like family love or friends, I feel like you guys, my friends, you and a couple other people, like were able to, harness me back in. My friends were doing better for me than my own family was. Like they were more like, oh, he's out of control, and don't do it around the house. They wanted me to like be away, and that's the last thing I needed was to be separated. So it was like I was dependent on my friends to bring me back and make me feel like a normal person again, like to feel good again. And I want to say it didn't take much to go that far, but it was a lot. Death is no minute thing. It's this huge blow to the ego and your mental health, and like it was happening left and right, man. It was like I swear, it was like every other day, like every week somebody was going, and it wasn't like I was saying in the beginning of the pandemic. It wasn't like, oh, we're here and that's all going on over there. It was like at some point it started hitting home. It started hitting people I know here on the res. Like we're losing people, and that's a huge blow to mental health, and my ability to deal was, it sent me in this spiral, And I think like if anybody is out there listening to this and you ever feel that way, like damn, like seek people out, seek interaction. Like this damn pandemic has us like in a stranglehold. Like all of us, we're being either berated or talked bad about or whatever, if you want to interact with people. Like, oh, don't do that. Stay home. Cover up your face, your fucking smiling hole. Cover it up. And shit, it's driving a wedge between us and our social lives, our people, the people that we need. This medicine of interaction.
Yeah. Well, I think the music part of it.
Yeah.
Where, like, musicians are like even having a band or having a team, like, or having to, like, again, having to be suppressed because, now's not the best time to be out and about or with a lot of people, so this, and I just feel for like, people that want to, like, if that's a part of your mental health, to to make music with your friends, or to be with your homies.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think that's another part too, is like, just having those people that you talk with.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned my mental health, because I think I do talk about it a lot, but it's always, I think I know it is doom and gloom a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also sort of like still like panning for joy, or
yeah.
And I think that's another interesting word, is happy, because we keep saying we want like something to feel good, something to make us.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we use the word happy to describe, that word.
Yeah.
And if you're not happy, then sometimes you're not doing something you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where, maybe a lot of people get in life, and sometimes moving the cheese is probably the only option, or the best option is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go after things and you do something and you realize, maybe this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, it's just, or you were doing it for a certain reason, and then the reason changed, and now you really don't need to be doing that. You can take your interests elsewhere, but you don't. You stay there, and then now you're putting all your effort into something that you don't have a reason to be doing it, really. I think that's where we think money is. I mean, I think we all would like to be rich, but, like, it's just like what we're saying with, like, the celebrities that are going through, like, mental health issues. Like, you could have all this success or have all this talent and yet still be going through, hell, or still have those demons that cause you to, struggle or even, take your life. So, yeah, I just, I just wish, that people still find a way to, like, do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because I think, too, like, waiting for that perfect time.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that was another good thing about, like, with Juan, or talking with Juan, was, like, there's always been risks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, like, we can just focus on all this negative stuff that the virus is bringing, but yet there's also still, like, life in general, and you're still on the planet, and you're still, lucky to be alive, to want to accomplish something.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, when we focus on, like I said, the doom and gloom, we can get kind of lost in it.
Yeah. So,
I think mental health is still kind of staying in tune with, what's possible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we're in dark places, but doesn't mean we have to, like, I guess reflect that. Sometimes we can use that as motivation to kind of go after something, something more, I want to say shinier or something more bright, but like, I think a lot of times during this pandemic, it's always been, but I also think it's like stuff that I've gone through before where, I'm lucky to be alive. I'm just enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
And but I think because I've seen that it can get dark and it can get, pretty scary.
Yeah.
So, I'm also kind of open to just being optimistic that, some good things do come along. But yeah, I think a lot of that too is, who you surround yourself with, who you, kind of hang out with.
Yeah.
What you're. I don't want to say like it's for everybody because I think reading is important, but I also don't think it's the only thing you can do to like stimulate your brain and make you feel good. But I think reading is a good tool to have.
It's not for everybody.
yeah, it's not, but to be able to have it and to be able to do it, I think it's just, I would say, an underestimated skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Even like talking. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm kind of lost because, like, I would like to say I have a good mental health, but
yeah,
like I said, it does get dark.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, I might not always feel that it's at its strongest, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think that I got like a pretty thick skin and armor,
Yeah.
And maybe a good way of dealing with, issues when they come. But I'm just as vulnerable as the next guy. It was interesting in retrospect to think about how deep I went when it was like death. Like I don't know. It was almost like, oh, there is no future, And it was. I got taken to the point where I was like, man, what's the point, What's the fucking point? And
yeah.
And I was able to get there because all this stuff was failing around me. Everything that you kind of come to rely on, in life, like, oh, the sun will come up the next day. I've had pretty dark times in my life where, I questioned whether or not that sun would come back up, or that I'd ever be back on top, I'd ever feel as good as I once did. And, years, and at the time when you're staring down that barrel, like when you're right in the midst of that pain or that darkness, it's like, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a tomorrow. It doesn't seem like the sun's coming back up. It's like, oh, this is it. I'm in it, and this is where I'm at, and there's no improvement. There's no better time. There's no getting better.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, this is it. And when I was in the depths of all that, it was easy to give up, You know, it was easy to just let go. And, you know, shit, here I am many, many years later, you know. It's happened more than once, you know, where I reached that point where everything seemed dark. And to, you know, many years later and look back at it, and it's like, wow, like, I was so wrong. I was so wrong to believe that there was nothing at the end of the tunnel, you know, that there wasn't going to be another, you know, another opportunity to get myself back on my feet. That's kind of the thing that I, like, if there's young people listening, I want people to know, like, I'm going to try to, hopefully he doesn't have the experience, but, you know, I'm sure he will. I'm hoping to teach my son that, you know, this knowing, like I know now, that there will be a time where things will be okay. You know? It's not all doom and gloom. At some point, things will look back up, you know? Or you will feel better. And, like, there's going to be a time where he makes a mistake, like I have. And it'll seem like the end of the world. It'll seem like there's no tomorrow. It'll seem like, you know... There was a few times where, when I was younger, where I thought, you know, death was the answer. You know, an escape. Oh, I'd rather die than face the next day. You know? And shit, now in retrospect, it's like, man, I was dead. I was wrong. It does get better. There are going to be better days ahead. You know? And what I hope to teach my son and maybe any young person who's listening is, like, if you ever feel that way, like, don't give in to that feeling, because it's false. There's always going to be another day, you know? And I never really liked the expression in the past was, this too shall pass. But it really, but it really does. You know, something bad happens, and you got to remember that. This too shall pass. And with enough time, the pain and hurt from a bad experience, it will pass. You know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is improvement. There is, like, well, I guess light of the tunnel is basically what I'm getting at. Is there's another day coming. You know, the night, you know, the sun will shine on you again. You just got to be, you know, you got to push through. You got to survive. You got to keep going. And at some point, you'll find it. You know, just be open to it, and don't, you know. And there are people that think death is the answer, and they go for it and they end it, and it's like, they reached a point where they truly believe there was no better day coming. You know, that things won't get better. And that's like accepting that there isn't a possibility of that. You know, it's like, oh, nothing will ever be good again. And that's just false, man. That's just false. Like, I've been there. I felt down. Felt that way. Through and through, wanted to end it, and I'm glad I didn't, you know, because so many good things came after, so many experiences, and, you know, good and bad, but I'm learning, and as I get older, that you kind of need the bad too, you know, to straighten you out. Sometimes it's like a slap in the face. You just need a good pop in the mouth to reset your brain and go, oh, what I'm doing here isn't good. I need to improve here. I'm doing the wrong thing right now. And maybe when you're in it, it feels fine, like, oh, I can do this. And maybe you're doing the wrong thing, you know? And you don't realize it until the bad happens, you know? Until something happens.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, you know that now. Like, it takes that darkness, that the opposite of our better days, you know, to make those better days brighter. Makes like a good day with your family, like let's say, a cookout at the park, and everybody's happy and calm and interacting with each other. And, maybe our arguments before then were bad, but it makes that happy barbecue day better, 10 times better, And when you're staring down the barrel, it doesn't always seem that way. It doesn't, you can't see around it. You can't see around this big problem. And it's right there on the tip of your nose, and you can't see around it. It's just, I screwed up, and it's so bad, and there's no coming back from this, And, yeah, there is. There really is. There's more to life, and, really, I think a part of what the pandemic has shown people, like an unexpected positive, is that people are realizing what they're willing to put up with and what they're not. And maybe it's a shit job, that's no longer as important as they once thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe people are leaving their jobs and thinking, I want a better job, or maybe, or I think, like you were saying, like picking up painting again, it's like now you kind of have the time to do that.
Yeah. I don't know if this is related, but it's kind of related. But I went into a Guitar Center like a few months ago, and the whole store changed, and even the way the country is operating, like not everybody's getting their shipments, and so some stores are not fully stocked, and some companies are not operating as much as they were before. So like a lot of stuff is affecting how the music stores are looking.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like people that have time are actually going and buying guitars because they want to learn something new. So that's making the store scarce, because it's like I went into Guitar Center. I remember going in before, and there just being like a lot of just guitars everywhere.
Yeah.
And going in there now, I mean, there was guitars, but you could tell they were doing their best to make it look fuller than what it really was. And I'm like, man, where is everything? And they were like, like we don't really get a lot of guitars coming in, and everyone's buying them because of the pandemic, and they're wanting to learn guitar.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting. Like, well, I hope they stick with it, because then every once in a while I'll hit up a pawn shop and I'll see like a nice guitar like this, like, man, why would someone pawn this? And like, maybe I'm just thinking maybe someone bought a real expensive guitar and then realized it wasn't their instrument and just pawned it. So. And I think that a lot of people are learning guitar, but I think a lot of people are also like quitting guitar. But yeah, I think like maybe, and then I don't know, like I don't know if it's just like if it's a res thing or if it's just like being just growing up in that era, but like stuff like playing cards and playing board games, like stuff where you don't actually got to turn on the TV. Like, like those times are useful now, where we don't. Sometimes you got to turn off the TV and actually like interact with our family, Do it the old-fashioned way, play some cards, some Crazy 8, or some Uno or something. So I think it's also kind of not forced us, but like making most of the time. Yeah.
It slowed things down.
Yeah. But like again, like I guess the doom and gloom was always going to be lingering, and if you stay focused on it, then you're going to be in doom and gloom. Because it's like, yeah, it was like I can talk about how bad it's been. Like I can talk about a lot of stuff that's happened that was bad, but like I also, can think of like, fun times I've had just, watching movies with my bro and my mom and, hanging out with my niece and, just those times where, like, I'm just home. So, like, for me, I was always into, like, philosophy, and I always think of, like, is the glass half full, half empty argument where, like, yeah, it's almost gone, or there's still some left, like, having that objective of, yeah, it's bad, but it's also good at the same time, and still being able to kind of, I guess, maneuver through that, like, that, having that attitude, like, yeah, it's shit, but there's also some good stuff that come with underneath that. So, like, I don't know if everyone else feels that way, but that's just who I am. I've always kind of, like, enjoyed the arguments of just like that. Yeah, like, is it half full? Is it half empty? Like, and what does that even mean when like you're almost halfway gone, like with what you have in your cup, or what you have on your plate. Like, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Yeah.
So, like, in the moment, you're kind of just, you just got to kind of, and this is another statement I don't like, but I notice I say it a lot, is man up.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm trying to quit saying that, but it's like I still say it. But it's like almost, I think it's like this perception of a man and just being like no emotion, just get it done, just hard ass, and a lot of these things that we're going through, like, we have thoughts and feelings, and sometimes we're in a society where you don't have to share all that. You don't put that out. You keep that to yourself. And so sometimes we hold back, and yet that's not how it gets processed or looked at or shared, or like if you don't share that with a friend, they're not there to, like, deny it or say that's not true, or, you know what I mean? Like having a friend sometimes can almost steer you out of on the wrong side of the road, Like, I mean, I'm just saying, sometimes when I say man up, like, I think it can be taken like, well, you're a man and you have to be this, and you have to have all your shit under control, and it's just like this kind of unrealistic, general, like don't be a human, be a man,
Yeah.
Almost like this superhuman. But then I also think where it's like, pull through, be who you are, like, don't let your emotions be holding you back, you know, so, like, it could be used in a good way, but, like, I just think sometimes it could be too much pressure.
That's interesting.
To say that. Also, too, like, with the kids, when they say man of the house to the boys.
Yeah.
I think that's bad. It's like you still have to be a kid, but, like, to already say that to a kid, like, you're the man of the house now, even though they're not really, they're still a kid. Like, it's almost like them trying to understand what the responsibilities of a man are.
Yeah.
While they're still not even fully understanding the responsibilities of the kids.
That's interesting.
I don't know, just the language sometimes we use.
Yeah.
Like common stuff that we've heard. You know that, like, on a movie, like, sorry, man, but, like, I'm just gonna throw this out there, but, like, on a movie where the dad's out of town or he works a lot, he kind of tells his son, like, you're the man of the house now, you gotta hold up the fort while I'm gone, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
While I'm away, you're gonna be the I keep saying responsible, but I guess we gotta be responsible for our mental health, and that's not always promoted in what we consume.
Interesting. Yeah, what I was gonna say about the whole glass half full, half empty was that on any given day, my answer might be different, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if it's a shit day, it's like, man, not only is this glass half empty, it's also the last beer. You know, like it's the last drink I have. You know, and other times it's like, fuck yeah, man. I've got half a cup here, and there's so much more coming behind it. You know, this isn't the only one. There's gonna be more, and more. This is gonna be good. This is all good. I'm almost through this one. I'm gonna have a full one right after this. And other times it's like, man, fuck this glass. Like you know, like it's. Things really aren't as black and white as they always seem sometimes. You know, like they're like, oh, half full, half empty. It's like, oh, well, it's also a nice glass, or it's a shit glass, or depends on where I'm having this glass. Like, where is it at? Like, there's more to it than just that. And
yeah, I always say that too. Like, well, it's also like in the moment, that's what you have. Like, if you want to see it good or you want to see it negative or positive, you can see it however you want. But you're not guaranteed that the glass is going to even be there the next day.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that.
Wow. Yeah.
But, no, I when you're saying, like, more are going to come, I guess you don't really know how much more are going to come. So it's almost like this could possibly be the end of what's to come. So it's, do I see this half full or half empty? Because it's not a guarantee that something else is going to come.
Yeah.
But more than likely, something will come.
Now I'm just thinking about this cup here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a dirty glass. Yeah, I really think mental health is a sliding scale. You know, and it all just kind of balances. Like I think we all. Like, our daily goal is to keep it balanced, you know? Offset the bad with some good, And I think I'd rather have more good than bad, you know, like finding, like you said about guitars or, you know, playing basketball, getting exercise. There's all these positive ways of adding to the positive in this, like, or maybe adding to that cup, you know, filling it up versus it being empty. And I guess the point I've been trying to get across here is, like, good mental health is kind of the base or foundation for real health, like overall health, or how well your day's going to go, or how well your body's going to fight off infection, or how well how well you're going to do when you get COVID or something like it. It's like if you're in a bad state of mind to begin with, and then something else bad comes along, you're not going to deal with it well. It's not going to go well. You're not going to handle it well. So it's like being able to maintain that equilibrium, being able to find good things in the bad. You cracked me up when you said the shit's just shit or something. I was like, is there something nice under this shit? Like, what are we talking about here? But yeah, I think the point here is that we should all be hoping to improve our mental health, and maybe even be seeking out our people that are already down low, and maybe try to give them a little positive in their life. When you were talking about friends and, you know, how having a friend can sometimes steer you away from those dark times, I was thinking about a few people that I haven't seen lately, and how it might improve them, just their day, or maybe where they're slanted, you know, just to have a friend come by, you know, spend some time with them. I've got a few friends that, you know, they call me and they're like, oh, it's all shit. This is all bad. I want to, you know, burn it all down. And I'm like, nah, don't do that. You know, let me come along. Let's kick it. Like, let's steer you away from that, you know. And sometimes it just takes words, you know. Like, hey, I care. Like, nobody cares. It's like, well, I care. You know, it's sometimes it doesn't take much, and I kind of hope that, you know, if anybody's listening to this and they know somebody who's down in their, you know, down on their luck, you know, maybe not feeling so well, not doing too well, you know, maybe they're struggling, to maybe seek them out and give them a little positive, even if it's just spending some time. When I brought up the what was it, drug aversion classes, diversion, doesn't matter.
Diversion.
Yeah, one of the people that stuck out, like when I started those classes, I thought, oh, I'm gonna breeze through this. It doesn't matter what they're gonna tell me. I'm gonna get through it, and then I'm gonna be done with it. And then, I mean, it covered a lot. There was tons and tons of videos and handouts and discussions about addiction and, you know, what leads to addiction, and a lot of it was mental health stuff. And I feel like, damn it, I brought this up. At some point, you know, once I got through the stuff where I was like, oh, this has nothing to do with me, I thought, well, this is how the whole thing's going to go. None of this is going to pertain to me. And then eventually, you know, they had so much damn material. It was so dense that at some point, some of them started hitting home. Some of them started making sense. Some of them kind of gave me pause and made me go, wow, maybe I should be thinking more along these lines, or maybe drinking isn't the way. Maybe, you know, it was just enough. And one of the classes that came up, it was this lady, and she was giving a speech. Her name was Brene Brown. She might even be a Dr. Brene Brown. It's like Renee, but it starts with a B, so Brene Brown. And she was giving a speech that was like what the hell was it called? I want to say it was Shame versus Guilt.
Shame versus guilt?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, shame is kind of how you feel when you do something bad, and then guilt. Well, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But one of the parts that stuck out to me, and I'll never forget it, was she was saying that it's much better. Well, she was talking about people dying. And when people die, everybody comes along and says, "Oh, they're in a better place now," or "Oh, they're no longer hurting." You know, everybody has their own little saying that they tell people when they lose people.
Yeah.
And she pointed out that sometimes it's better not to say anything at all, and to just reach out and put your hand on them. You know, or to give them a hug, versus saying something stupid like, "Oh, they're in a better place now." Or, oh, this too shall pass. You know, it was like, she was saying when somebody's struggling and you see them struggling, sometimes all you have to do is just reach out and touch them. And that's how you tell them, "I understand." That's how you tell them, "I'm there for you." Is you reach out and put your hand on them. Like, it's much more effective than saying, "Oh, well, you know, it's dark now, but there'll be brighter days ahead." You know, it's like... And the reason I bring that up is, like, sometimes that's all we need, is somebody to reach out and touch us. Like, give us that assurance that somebody else is there and we're not alone in this world, this crazy fucked up world, you know? When all this shit's coming down around us, sometimes all we need is a helping hand, somebody to acknowledge us, somebody to let us know that we're not dealing with this alone. You know?
Yeah.
So I guess why I brought it up was I want to encourage people to reach out and give that hand. You know? If you know somebody, you see somebody struggling with life and maybe they're not doing too well, to sometimes instead of just saying something stupid, something that everybody says, maybe this time just give them a hug. You know? Put a hand on their hand and let them know you're there. Because that can be 10 times better than just, you know, some flimsy saying that everybody says, you know.
Yeah.
Like that always stuck with me. That one little part of this lady's speech was how much more effective just simple contact can be.
Yeah. I was gonna say as they say, like, music says what you can't say, the music says. I'm gonna say more better, but I think that's what, like, music, and instead of trying to articulate it in words to describe or to try to even make somebody feel better, it's like there's nothing to say.
Yeah.
It's almost like impossible. But I think with music is kind of, it's a different type of, like, not talking, but like how you hear something and how you understand it is almost like talking. Your soul's getting information from music.
Mm.
So I think sometimes, you know, maybe it's not words we need to hear, or if we do, it's probably best with some type of music.
Mm.
But I think that's a big part of our mental health is music too. Like the stuff we're listening to, you know, to just motivate us to get through the day. Mm-hmm. You know, that music that we talked about with Juan, that, you know, that kind of made us feel like invincible and stuff.
Yeah.
how we kind of wear our music to like, I guess, energize us, but also like almost to heal us too, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know, like being a kid, like things are so in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Like versus an adult to have lived through some things and to have made some mistakes. You know, you can kind of be more almost lenient with how the magnitude of your life is. And I think, like, I was thinking bad for, like, I remember there was this kid that I think they jumped off the building at their dorm, but they were, like, so much pressure on themselves to, like, keep their scholarship, you know, keep their grades, be in the top rank, whatever, like, just all this pressure to be this perfect, you know, to have all the things right, all the answers right, to be, and a young kid, like, you know, that maybe has never been put through so much pressure, and then suddenly it's just all put on them, and no one can understand the depth of what is happening mentally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like, I don't know, I guess, like, how do we let ourselves make mistakes? Like, we don't tell ourselves, like, oh, go make mistakes. Learn from them. Like, we kind of have this expectation of, like, do good, you know, make the right choice, you know. And, you know, maybe that's a lot of pressure on a kid. To be like, make all the right choices. And don't make one mistake, because it's like, then I'm going to be really let down. And I think that's pretty much what sometimes it comes down to, is, you know, maybe letting those people down and experiencing that versus kind of running from, I think it's the conflict too.
What?
Like as humans, we need some type of conflict or some type of little trinket or puzzle that we got fixed to kind of fill the time. And when there's conflict, we work through it, we figure it out, and we take the stories with us. Where suddenly we're confident because we got through it, we figured it out. But sometimes, like even now, like, it's like there's been no room for error or no room for conflict.
That was probably the hugest thing I had to learn. Like, I think I had a lot of pressure on me growing up. Like, not realizing it. I don't think my parents, or at least my mom, I don't think she realized that there was all this pressure on me. That she was putting it on there, and then after a while I started putting it on myself. I could hear her voice in my head and all that, like, and like I said about the first, like, big mistake in my life, and how I thought it was the end of the world, you know, and you know, it took those experiences, and it took the really bad ones to know now, like when something bad happens now, I just know it'll be okay. It's like, you know, a big bad thing happened again, and I was like, man, I'll get through this. Like, it's okay. But, like, you know, as a kid, if the same thing had happened, I'd be done. I'd be devastated, you know?
Yeah.
But with age and time and experience, I'm like, man, maybe it's okay. Maybe we'll be just fine because I'll be all right. I'll get through this. And again, it was like I was saying, this too shall pass. It was like, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. You know, like I'm kind of gonna close this thing out, unless you got more to say. But I'm just, do you?
I think the one takeaway, or at least one thing I would suggest, or not, point out, but like, I think there's this misconception of like, asking for help, or maybe saying it out loud that you do need help, or you do want to talk to somebody, because I think it can kind of, you almost want to fall into, I'm not saying you don't want to fall into it, but you can almost be like, I always think of it like the tutor, like you don't want to go see the tutor. This is like if you need the tutor, if you need to go see the tutor, that means you need help. That means you need, you can't do it on your own, or it's like you don't want to accept the help because you want to be like everybody else that's getting it. And everybody learns different. So sometimes people do need to talk to somebody. Yeah. It just might clear things up. But like seeing a tutor, you might be turning in B work, but they'll look at it and tweak it, and suddenly you're submitting A work. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with someone picking your brain and someone asking you questions that, maybe you haven't thought about or even think about. So, like when we talk about, asking for help or thinking about seeking help, like there's nothing wrong with it, and it's a lot of times really helpful. Not to use that word, but really beneficial, because sometimes we've gone through things and think we've got through them, but sometimes we just throw things under the rug and think it's going to go away, which it doesn't. So a lot of times we gotta, you can't get through the river clean. You kind of gotta get dirty to actually experience it. So there's nothing wrong with talking about, what's going on mentally, or what's going on in your life, because, sometimes getting it from another perspective can really, help you see things clear. So that's all I gotta say.
Okay. Alright, so my takeaway would be, and I'm talking to anybody who's listening out there, anybody who may be struggling or knows somebody who's struggling, it doesn't hurt to reassess, to stop what you're doing and just ask yourself where you're at. Check in with yourself every now and then and see, do I have good mental health right now? Am I doing all right? And if not, like you said, it's not weak to, like Sky said, it's not weak to reach out and ask for help. Like that was another big teaching that came across, was like it's not weak to ask for help. In fact, it's probably even strong, because you're aware of yourself enough to know that you need help. And mental health isn't just your struggle, it's a struggle that we all face. And if you need help, seek help. Reach out. And if you're worried about this pandemic, but maybe people are struggling in your life, friends or family or even strangers, doesn't hurt to reach out. Give them a call if you can't see them in person. Give somebody a call and let them know that you care, and hopefully someone will do the same for you. It's a good practice to just check in with yourself every now and then and see where you're at, because it's real easy to get lost in the weeds, to have your nose so low on the grinding stone. You keep your head down and you're just working every day. And sometimes you forget to assess yourself. You forget to give yourself a little treat. It's very easy to lose track, especially in these times. Like, a lot's going on. There's, like, in the world, in the U.S., in this pandemic, in our homes, on the res, like, it's real easy to lose yourself and your friends and your people in the weeds when you're, just trying to grind it out. So, a mental health break is always good.
Yeah.
A little treat yourself is always good.
Vacation.
Yeah, like
take days off, take time off.
Yeah, take a day off, take a breather. I don't know about going on vacation these days, but
maybe
vacation
at your house.
Yeah, a staycation.
Yeah,
just a vacation from your struggle or your work or yourself, whatever it is. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some slack. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself. I still do, but I have to remind myself every now and then to just ease up a little. That maybe if I'm not doing everything perfect, that's okay. The world is imperfect. Things we do is imperfect. Being human is, damn it, by nature, imperfection. We're not alone. We're all struggling. We're all, in this world together, all of us. I kind of forget that sometimes. Like, it's just me and my little world. And stuff's going on, and I'm so focused on getting mine or, setting things straight that I forget everybody else is out there around me. People are in my life are there. And like, I think when me and Sky were reading our zodiac reading, and it said that we're kind of not their friends, we're not dependable friends, is because we're all over the place. We're movers and shakers. Like, that happens to all of us. Like, we're all in the rat race, and we're all trying to get the cheese, and sometimes we forget to stop and look around and see where we're at, Look up, look at the sky, enjoy like a cool breeze, like things. There's very simple ways to take these breaks and to reassess where you're at, and being aware of your mental health is the start to having good mental health. It's like, just be aware of where you're at, and it doesn't hurt to reassess, to go back and go, all right, am I any better now? Is there something I've done that's put me in this better spot? And can I do that again? Or can I even improve on that? And for anybody who's out there struggling now, and I'm sure there's a lot hanging in there. I know I said that it's kind of a weak statement to say, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There really is. And if you're at the point where you truly believe there isn't, then reach out. Find somebody, even a stranger if you have to, but reach out and seek some help. Allow yourself to be helped. Because it is not a weakness to ask for help. It's actually a strength of character thing, where you're aware that you need help, and it takes strength to reach out and ask for it.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's out there struggling, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not weak to ask for help. And I really hope that anybody is listening, I wish you all good mental health, you know? I hope whatever dark days you're having now will not compare to the bright days that are coming. And, I guess that's all I had to say is, you know, give yourself some slack. Give people in your life some slack. And, you know, work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Work on your mental health. And work on the people's health around you. And I think we'll all be better off if we all did this, you know, took some time and reassessed where we're at. And that we take care of each other's. Because we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Cool?
Cool, man.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. This is the Natives in America podcast on the Reservation Radio Network. And, peace out, guys. Have good mental health, you know. Take some time, give yourself some slack. And I hope this finds you, and I hope you have better days coming. All right, peace out.
Peace.